Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're having a great day wherever you are. I come to you from my car today. I wanted to film another sit down, unedited, raw kind of chat for you because I really like to experiment with the format of my videos, and I've done 2 previous videos in the past in this format, and I've really enjoyed not just the process of it, because it is honestly a lot easier to film and just produce these kind of videos generally because they don't really need to be edited. But I really like the honesty and the connection that I feel I can have with you guys through these kinds of videos as well. And I kind of plan a little bit what I'm going to say, or I just dump everything out of my head on the topic onto my laptop, which is just next to me, and then I can refer to it if I need. But other than that, you're just getting the real me. And the real me this morning is in my car. It's a Saturday morning. I got up at 4:50 to film this video because I've been so busy but have wanted to continue to create content because I want to be nice and as solid as I can be through to the end of the year. But it is raining. So I was going to film in like a park with some flowers behind me as the sun rose. It was going to be really beautiful, but that's okay. I tried to go like under this rotunda at the park, and the metal roof is so loud with the rain. So I apologize that you can hear some rain hitting my car, but it is not as bad as what it could have been. And also it's really cold outside, so I am glad I'm like nice and warm in here. But yes, today I want to talk about journaling and my experience with it in the past few months / this year overall. I've done 2 or so videos on journaling before, an experiment video and kind of, I think, setting up some journals and stuff, because I use a planner, like an A4 journal, every single day to like organize my life. But the form of journaling I'm talking about here is like reflecting and something that you might do on a daily or weekly practice, or just when you feel like you need it. For a while after I did my journaling experiment, must have been over a year ago now, I kept up the habit of journaling every morning before breakfast or during breakfast for months, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. And then I think it started to become really tedious, and so I stopped. Instead of trying to force myself to journal when I knew that I didn't want to, and I was like dreading sitting down to journal, I was like, oh great, I've got to go write like a page now or whatever, and I just wanted to sit and like read over breakfast. So I decided to just do it when I felt like it, and slowly but surely I completely lost the habit. And then this year came and it brought along a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, but I've struggled this year. The first few months of COVID were okay, but then I had a lot of anxiety, and not necessarily about COVID, but it just seemed to bring up a lot because my life had to change a lot, and I was already going to have some big changes coming up this year, and I really struggled to deal with change. I always have. I hate change. So I was trying to prep myself for these changes that I knew were going to happen, because these were big changes. And then they never happened. And I don't know if they're still going to happen in the future, but they never happened. And so I was prepping myself for all this change. It didn't come, but life didn't necessarily remain the same for me at all. It still changed a lot, and it's still currently changing a lot. I look back to where I was this time last year in many facets of my life, and I just never would have imagined that this is where I ended up. So trying to cope with that change, trying to cope with this new kind of world, it was all just so much for my highly sensitive, change-hating self. And I struggled for many months. To be honest with you, I was going through the heart of this struggle was while we were on the road on our van trip. It was probably actually an amazing time to go on a trip like that when I was struggling so much, just because it got me out of my normal life, it got me out of my normal head, it gave me a purpose, and I got to see some incredible places, and I was with my best friend. But nevertheless, I was waking up with so much anxiety every day, and extremely, extremely emotional. It was just a big struggle. And I have a massive tendency to overthink. A massive tendency. I don't particularly know where this stems from, but I just always have done it. Sometimes it's not too bad, but I think in times of heightened stress or heightened emotions of some kind, I just fall into that trap of overthinking a lot. And so when I think I heard a quote, something like, depression is overthinking the past, anxiety is overthinking the future, or something like that, something along those lines. And it's true. And so when I was really anxious, my anxiety was just heightened because I would just constantly overthink everything, because when I'm anxious, I feel like all my emotions and my senses are heightened. So if I see something little that slightly relates to something I'm feeling anxious about, it's a massive trigger for me. And then I'll go into thinking, oh, why am I feeling that way? Does this mean something? Like, is this a sign? And I'll just go down this rabbit hole and just overthink every single thing. And it's exhausting. It's horrible. And so I knew the powers of journaling because I had experienced them in the past. I knew that I was overthinking so much, and yes, I was talking to people about my struggles. I was kind of, when I felt like I had no other option, just sitting down and writing down my feelings in my book. But I didn't want to pick up that solid journaling practice again because I was so scared of voluntarily bringing up these emotions or feeling these emotions any more than I had to, because it felt like when I was in this depths of anxiety for those months that there were only a few moments, like a week, of peacefulness where maybe one morning I didn't wake up with anxiety, or I was, so out of my head doing exercise or something and I just felt great. And I always thought like, wow, like, why do I feel so good? And then I would be like, it's because I'm not anxious. And then I would be like, why am I not anxious? And then I would start to think about why I should be anxious. I'm sure some of you can relate to this, but it's so frustrating because you shouldn't be overthinking and you don't want to feel anxious, and also all these feelings are normal, but there's also only so much you can do about them. But anyway, so the point is, I knew the benefits that journaling would have for me, but I didn't want to pick up a journal and write down my feelings because I didn't want to feel the anxiety or voluntarily try and feel this anxiety to move through it, because I was so scared of feeling that way, and I just was holding on to those little moments of bliss as tightly as I could, because that was what was getting me through it at that point. Those little moments of just like peacefulness and reminding me that, oh yes, this is what life is supposed to feel like. I will get through this. I just kind of kept chasing those moments. But a few weeks ago, ironically, as the anxiety was starting to blow over already, I just suddenly I felt this need to write my feelings down. I was overthinking and I felt cluttered and disorganized in my head, and I just thought, okay, if I can just get some of this stuff out, some of this stuff down, it'll be a lot more manageable. So I sat down and I wrote like 4 or so pages, because I felt like there was a lot of stuff in my head. I hadn't journaled in over a year, really. And I felt ready to do it. And afterwards, like, sure, there were sentences or paragraphs or lines in there that triggered me, and because I'm going through my feelings, I was, feeling a bit anxious, or I got like a hot flush because I was so like nervous about something, or but some of it, like, I was really happy, and my heart skipped a beat a bit, and it was a whole whirlwind. But the point was, I sat down and I wrote, and afterwards I felt so much better. And I remembered vividly and viscerally all of the benefits that I had experienced with journaling in the past. I find that, I want to get this right, I've written down, just 1 second. So I feel like what journaling does for me is that it allows me to clear my head. I'm someone who can't really multitask effectively. I like to focus on single tasks, and like in my outer world here, not in my mind. But it extends to my mind. So if I have a million thoughts going on in my head, I can't think clearly. And so I feel like once I journal, I take whatever's going on in my head, I put it down on paper, and it doesn't feel like it's running around in my head anymore. It feels like it's trapped on the page, it's there, and I can look at it from an observational point of view now. It's not like inside of me and affecting me anymore. It's like, okay, it feels like this massive deal in my head, or this big stress, but I put it down on the page. I'm like, okay, maybe I can manage that, or how about this, and I can start to problem solve, or something like that, whatever it needs to be. Or it's this big worry or concern in my head, and I put it down, and I'm like, it's actually not that bad. And also I think something that I was really struggling with this anxiety is that I didn't want to be feeling this anxiety. Regardless of what it was, I just didn't want to be feeling the feeling of being anxious. But by putting it down on paper, I'm acknowledging that I'm anxious, and I know that being anxious is totally okay, especially when I am someone prone to anxiety. It's not wrong or bad or weak that I'm feeling this way. It's just how Lauren is feeling in this moment of time, and that's okay. And just even taking that weight off my shoulders that, hey, don't worry, it's okay to be feeling this way, is really, like, it just helps. Yeah. I think as well, extending on that point, I when I wake up feeling anxious all the time, or a lot of the time, when I'm going through a period of anxiety, I can easily just see myself as an anxious person, or, I have anxiety, and I'm saying it a lot to people, or, if I'm talking about it, I say, hey, I have anxiety, or I'm really anxious. And I think I then, of course, can get in my own head, and anxiety doesn't bring up a lot of fun connotations for everyone. And I think if I'm thinking of myself as, oh, I'm anxious, or I'm an anxious person, it just comes with a lot of negative things that I don't want to associate myself with, or that make me feel worse if I do. And so putting it down on the paper reminds me that my anxiety doesn't define me, no matter what. I'm not anxious. I'm Lauren, and I'm feeling anxious. And so it just really gives me the power to step back and just see things for what they really are. Because yes, anxiety may be, telling you something in your life is not right for some reason, but it's also not always right. Like, we can't always interpret our anxiety correctly. So we're not defined by our anxiety. And when you're constantly feeling anxious, or you're constantly telling yourself that you're an anxious person, it really helps to have that reminder that, hey, we're so much more than how we're feeling in this current moment. Yeah, so after that first time I wrote, again, I don't know why it took me so long to find that word, it's a terrible word. After that first time I got back to journaling, because it felt so good and it just felt so right and it felt like what I needed to do again, I made a promise to myself that I would reflect every day, at least until I was just, I think for a few months, until I feel that time again where it becomes a bit of a chore. And I don't really want to completely break the habit like I did previously, because in that period of time where I wasn't journaling, even before I got really anxious, there were times where I was like, journaling would really help right now. And I just didn't. So I would love to build that routine back up again, so it is a really healthy system that I can put in place for when I do need it, because I know I'm going to need it. I feel like everyone needs brain dumps and just a way to get our thoughts out of our heads sometimes. So I made a promise to reflect every day, and life's gotten in the way. I haven't done that, but it's a much bigger priority in my life right now, which is the best that I can do. And so I am happy about that. And every time that I have sat down to reflect, I've, again, felt so much better afterwards. It's kind of like yoga. There are times where I don't feel like doing it, and there are times that I really do feel like doing it. But regardless, I always leave the practice feeling so much better than when I began. Wow. So I guess I just wanted to share this experience with you, because I think no matter what, whether COVID has directly affected you, or if it's nothing to do with this pandemic at all, I think I'm sure there would have been times this year that you've been struggling with. And going into 2021, I think for so long we've been looking forward to it. But now that it's here, we might not really know what it means. And it brings about a lot of time and a lot of chances to reflect and think about 2020. And so I just wanted to hopefully remind you of this tool that is here. It's free and it's brilliant. I could not recommend journaling highly enough, and I hope that my experiences and my benefits translated well through this platform or through this medium. Because at this time of the year, I find reflecting and journaling and everything to be even more valuable than usual, because I'm trying to kind of figure myself out and reflect and look forward and try and set myself up. But I think this year I'm going to be a bit more chill about it and I'm going to do that, of course, because that's who I am. But I'm going to just reflect and use it as a really mindful, healthy, beautiful practice just for me, not for anyone else, just for me. And I think we all deserve more of that time for ourselves. I think that will wrap up this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it and that you found some value in it, whether you pick up a pen and journal or you type. I would recommend picking up a pen. There's just something about writing on paper that is very therapeutic, and it just feels real, and tangible. But yeah, I hope that there is time for you to think back on the year and think about the good things and just be honest with yourself about how you're feeling. And I think our feelings are going to completely fluctuate for the next few weeks and for the next few weeks or months into the new year as well, because we don't really know what's going to happen. And I guess we never do, but you know what I mean. I really like these videos, as I said before. I hope you do as well. I think they bring a different kind of value to the platform, to the channel. And I look forward to doing more in the new year. I upload new videos every Thursday, and I really can't wait to see you on the next one. I have my, I think I've just finished uploading my vlogs for the road trip, which is exciting. It's been massive. It's taken me a long time to do it, but I hope you enjoyed that series as well. It was, regardless of my anxiety, it was an incredible trip, and I would love to get back out there on the road with Louie again, and just explore more of the world, honestly. But I'm happy to start in Australia, because what a freaking incredible place I live in. Very lucky. If you'd like to see more of me, then feel free to follow me on Instagram at Lauren__hog. And I think this is the first time I've said this on this platform. I said it on Instagram in a post, but 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. I get quite a few comments every now and then saying like, how come you don't have more? Or I thought you'd have more, or that kind of thing. I am just blown away all the time by the amount of subscribers that I currently have. I remember when I hit 500, I thought, whoa, if I was going to do a talk to an audience of 500 people in an auditorium, I would be so nervous because 500's a lot of people and 1,000's a lot of people. I just am so blown away and so grateful that I have so many people seemingly enjoying the content that I put out. And I do this to help people. And I think that, I have helped some of you, and it's incredibly humbling. So thank you. And I love you, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye.